Well, ladies and gentlemen, Battlefield 1 turned 8 years old a few days ago. And that is pretty insane because I remember seeing all the hype, seeing all the teases for Battlefield 1, playing the alpha and the beta and all that sort of stuff. And it's kind of insane to think that that game is 8 years old. It really is. I think I'm just elderly. So in today's video, we will be discussing Battlefield 1, its impact on the Battlefield franchise, some of its firsts, some of its best aspects, some of its worst aspects, and essentially just reminiscing a bit, shall we? Before we get into things, I want to thank everyone for wishing me luck on the job interview that I had a couple days ago. It went extremely well, and they offered me a second interview. So I will keep you guys updated. If I get the job, it'll be pretty crazy. Things will be moving very quickly, and I'll have to change a bunch of things around with the channel. But don't worry, I will never stop uploading. YouTube actually shouldn't be affected very much at all. And speaking of YouTube, be sure to subscribe to Ode to Enders, which is my fragrance YouTube channel. First link in the description. First video for that channel will be out pretty soon. I'm just waiting on art to get done and microphones to be delivered. So let's talk about Battlefield 1. Now, Battlefield 1, when it was announced, I can just remember the commentary around the trailer for the game. In my opinion, the trailer for Battlefield 1 is not only the best Battlefield trailer, it's probably one of the best FPS game trailers of the past decade. And yes, I understand that it is just a trailer. It really doesn't mean anything, but it did generate just a different level of interest, and it was completely different from anything that Battlefield has done before. Now, swing around to the first early access periods, I do distinctly remember the beta of Battlefield 1 being probably the most quote-unquote polished version of an early access Battlefield experience that I can personally remember. I remember playing the early access periods like the alphas and betas for Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, and BF3 and BF4 were just a complete mess, even extending into their releases for a little bit. For Battlefield 4, I mean, the game was basically, it was pretty bad for about, I'd say, 6 to 7 months, maybe even a year. Then they, pulled some stuff together. Battlefield 1 definitely, in my opinion, had the smoothest launch, and it was just the highest quality Battlefield game from the start of things, right? And that's kind of abnormal, unfortunately, when you look at Battlefield releases. We're kind of used to them just releasing a half-broken game and then fixing it about a year in. That needs to stop. So if the next Battlefield takes anything away from Battlefield 1, please take the release quality from Battlefield 1 so we don't have to worry about the game just being trash from the start and then everyone hating it. Now, Battlefield 1 for me personally holds a strange place of importance, even though it's not my personal favorite Battlefield game, because it's the very first game that I started streaming on. And Battlefield 1 is actually the only reason why I am here yapping to you into a microphone. I started streaming Battlefield 1 after Zariana Plays, who some of you may know, I doubt a lot of you do, started streaming, and I started playing with her. And then I got the idea, okay, well, I can stream this game, let me give it a shot. So I threw up my first stream on OBS. It went horrifically wrong. I was streaming in ultra graphics, so I was getting 30 FPS. My stream was not set up correctly, so I was streaming in 4K, which I don't even realize how I did that at this point. But once everything got set up correctly, I just started streaming every single day, and basically the rest is history. I just never stopped, and I still haven't stopped till this day. So what are some of Battlefield 1's best aspects? Well, I think obviously we can get this out of the way. The way the game looks, okay, it's obvious. Yes, the game looks good. You guys don't have to comment about it in the comment section. I know, the game looks good. Does it really matter? I guess, but the gameplay is ultimately what people should really be focusing on, and we'll get to that. But I don't think there's any argument. Battlefield 1 has the best atmosphere. It creates the best feeling of quote-unquote war in any Battlefield game ever made, in my opinion. And it has a certain aura. Okay, it does. And I believe that certain aura is created just by the way the art style is, the way they designed the graphics, and how they designed them to look. It just created a certain art palette sort of thing. I don't know the words. That just worked. And when you combine that with the way the audio was, with the way the kill notifications were, with the way the UI was done, with the way that all the art came together for the soldier designs and the history behind all that stuff, yeah, they did a good job there. Battlefield 1 was also the game to introduce operations for the very first time, and to this day, that's a fan favorite game mode, and I would like to see it reintroduced into the franchise in place of Breakthrough. I think you could easily replace Breakthrough, and I think Operations is a much more involved and interesting mode than just having Breakthrough available. But that isn't the only thing Battlefield 1 did for the very first time in the history of the Battlefield franchise. Battlefield 1 was also the first game to include a slide in the gameplay. And on top of that, the gunplay of Battlefield 1, which is still controversial to this day, was definitely the most interesting and dynamic version of Battlefield gunplay ever. Basically, all the weapons functioned differently. Light machine guns had reverse spread, which means the longer you shoot them, the more accurate they get. There was suppression in the game. Snipers had sweet spots. Assault weapons were basically just short-range bullet hoses, and medic SLRs obviously got more inaccurate the longer you shot them, but you could mediate the rate of fire and make them more accurate by just simply shooting slower. So I think overall, Battlefield 1's gunplay actually gets the bad rap. I think it's the most involved Battlefield gunplay ever, and I think a lot of the people complaining about it are just failing the IQ test of spread. They just shoot the guns and then go, I don't know why I don't hit this guy. This game suck. And then they don't change anything about their gameplay. They don't learn anything about spread. They don't pay attention to any of the mechanics. And to be fair to those people, I guess it's not super obvious, but I mean, it like I said, it's an IQ test. You can just play the game and then figure it out as you play the game. And shockingly, a lot of people to this day still haven't. In fact, I think a lot of people hate on Battlefield 1's gunplay because of suppression making it seem worse than it actually is. I think suppression really is the thing people should be complaining about, because it sucks. Now let's talk about some things that Battlefield 1 definitely did wrong, right? Suppression, we got that one out of the way. You know, this guy misses, and then I miss as a result of that. That is a stupid mechanic. A lot of people try to cope and say, oh, well, if suppression wasn't in the game, light machine guns would be useless and you couldn't suppress people. As if light machine guns in this game don't have like 250 bullets for some of them. And as if you can't just suppress people already by shooting near them to make sure they can't move. Like, I'm sorry, suppression's trash. And it should remain a visual-only effect with absolutely no bearing on your accuracy, gunplay, movement, whatever you have. Then, obviously, briefly touching on movement here, the movement of Battlefield 1 could be considered just a different take on the franchise's movement, but I definitely think they went a little overboard on the whole concept of the movement. Like, they completely removed every single aggressive movement option in the game, which basically made the game positional only. And that really made the gameplay suffer. You can't really engage fights really well. And again, some people in the comment section will comment, oh, the movement's realistic, or da-da-da. That, yeah, it doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter. When you're talking about gameplay, you have to have some sort of aggressive movement option that allows you to engage fights. You can't just have no movement like Battlefield 1, or you get what happens in Battlefield 1, which is people essentially just don't move, and they sit in the back of the map with snipers, and it becomes terrible. And I did briefly mention snipers there, so let's elaborate on that. The sweet spot mechanic. What an absolutely horrific idea. I mean, seriously. Oh, guys, my gun does 75 damage, but if you're 60 to 80 meters away from me, suddenly you instantly die. But if you're 81 meters away, it won't kill you. Like, what a stupid idea. And not to mention the fact that 99% of sweet spot kills are just complete accidents. But you have those people that say, well, actually, Enders, I sit between 50 and 70 meters so that I can effectively use my sweet spot distance. Yet, no, you don't. Your KD is 2.3, okay? You don't know what distance you are away from that person. Sweet spots, it's just a completely trash mechanic that gifts people accidental kills. Fact. And then, of course, you have the melee animations and bayonet charging, which I just disagree with, because it just locks you in a completely unavoidable instant kill animation. Like, it just doesn't feel good, does it? Like, you're about to kill someone, then you get bayonet charge, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't really do anything. And really, a lot of this stuff boils down to it being really easy and really cheesy. That's Battlefield 1's biggest mistake in a nutshell. The gameplay is really, really cheap and cheesy sometimes, and that could be very easily avoided just by simply changing some things in very small ways. So, happy anniversary, Battlefield 1. You are 8 years old. You just received new anti-cheat, and I fully expect to still die to some invisible flying aimbotter. You know, it'll only be a matter of time, guys. It's a classic. It's a BF1 PC classic. You got the guy flying around that's invisible with the 1919 telescopic, and he aimbots you. It doesn't even make me mad. It's like, that's a certified Battlefield 1 classic. It really is. So, of course, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. I will let you guys know if I get the job. I mean, I hope I get the job. It'd be pretty cool, you know, it'd be pretty cool. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.
We have armed objective up.
Destroy the damn objective!
We have armed objective butter.
Look, there, the scout!
We have taken out objective apples.